I spent a lot of time sewing, and I've sewn many bucket bags. I'm sure you have too, but as I was looking for a new kind of twist on a bucket bag or a new look in a bucket bag, I wasn't really finding what I was looking for, so I decided to design my own. Hi there, I'm Lara, one of the owners and designers here at Rivet Patterns, and today we are going to make the Medley Bag. This is a super fun bag. You can see it's color blocked here. It's a simple design, yet classy and fun with the color blocking. Inside you'll find a snap closure, you'll find a zipper pocket on one side, you'll find slip pockets on the other. And the great thing about this bag is you can do it color blocked on the outside or solid like you see on the one behind me. If you can choose to put a slip pocket on the outside. That's pretty awesome too. Let's get started. Okay, let's get started. I want to go through all of our fabric requirements and kind of all of our supplies here before we get started. Of course, I've got my typical supplies like scissors and a ruler, my Watch Away Wonder tape, so you'll need those for later. As far as our supplies, we've got our swivel clips, our D-rings, and our one adjustable buckle. We've got our webbing. I'm using webbing for this. This is for the shoulder strap, and this is for the strap connectors. We've got, right here, we've got our snaps. This is the female. This is the male, and they fit together. And so you'll need a male and a female and 2 washers, okay? So we'll set those to the side as well. Additionally, we've got our zipper for our zipper pocket. Now, it's a 7-inch zipper. If you're buying just a whole zipper, you'll buy a 7-inch zipper. If you're using zipper tape like I did, you're going to cut about 9 inches. You just want it to go past that opening on either end to make it easy to sew in, right? Then you will need 4 scraps of SF101, about 1.5 by 2 inches each. These are, I didn't even measure these. I just cut them. These are for your snap closure stability for that. You'll need 4 of those, or if you have something heavier that you'd like to use, you can use 1 of each of those, but I have the SF101. All right, now we're on to our fabric. I have our zipper pocket here. I have already marked the zipper, so that's my zipper pocket. I've got my slip pocket, my 2 pieces here, and these are all already interfaced. I've got my lining pieces interfaced with the SF101, and I've got my main pieces here. I'm going to be showing you the color blocked version, but you'll be able to do any version from this color block tutorial, okay? So what you have here is you have 5 different panels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And so your pattern pieces, you have 1 pattern piece for these and 1 pattern piece for these. So you need 5 pieces for the outer, or for one side of the outer, and 5 pieces for the other side of the outer. So here's the way they are all going to look. All right? Here's what we got, okay? Those are the outers, okay? That gives you a total of 8 of these and 2 of the bottoms. Okay? So if you're doing the solid one and you're not doing the color block, this doesn't apply to you. But what does apply to you is the interfacing. So this is fusible fleece that we're using for the outer only, the exterior fabric only. Now, if you have an industrial sewing machine, this may not be a problem for you, but for domestic, it may or may not be a problem. It depends on your machine. If your machine struggles going through layers, then I highly suggest you make these fusible fleece pieces a 1/2 inch smaller than your outer. So that takes the bulk out of your seams as you're sewing all these together. But what I will say, if you are not careful, sometimes that fabric could stretch. Like this is a canvas here that I have here, but it does stretch when it's not interfaced. So I would highly suggest, if you're going to cut it a 1/2 inch smaller, you could totally do that, but you should put maybe SF101 under it to stabilize those edges to keep them from stretching out. That's just my personal experience. You may not have that experience. It just depends on the type of fabric you're using. And as I've said a million times, not all fabric is created equal. Even one canvas is different from another canvas. You know, one quilting cotton is different from a different quilting cotton. Same with vinyls. You know, you can say the same for knit fabrics as well. So take all that into consideration as you're putting these things together. All right, so let's get started. If you are using fabric for your strap connectors and let's start again. If you are using fabric for making fabric strap connectors, you're going to want to cut your fabric according to the pattern piece, fabric and SF101, unless you're using something super heavy. But I'm using webbing today. So if you're making your strap connectors out of fabric, that's where you're going to start in our tutorial. If not, we're going to skip to page 11, step 5. So we're going to grab our strap connectors here. I'm just going to move these up a little bit. Got our strap connectors, and we want our D-rings. Some clips here. Okay, we're going to take a raw edge of our strap connector and just feed it through. And I'm just going to clip it in place here. Clip these 2 raw edges together. Do the same on the other. There you have it. Now I'm going to head over to my sewing machine, and I am going to top stitch, back stitching quite a few times across here as close as I can get to the flat bar, the straight bar here of our D-ring. Let's do that. Here are our finished strap connectors. We're going to set those to the side. All right, let's get ready to sew. This is the order in which we're going to sew them. This is main outer 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the outer bottom. Okay, so we have 2 of each of these. I'm going to move these 3 out of the way where we're going to work from the bottom up, and I want to keep them in order so that I don't mess it up. All right, so we're going to take our bottom and our number 4, and we're going to find the top center of the bottom and the bottom center of this number 4 main piece. We're just going to clip it. Okay, there's 1. There's 2. And then we're going to take it, put them right sides together, matching that center clip. Then you can see how they don't quite line up. That is okay. That's just, we want that curve there. So we're just going to clip all the way across, and we'll ease that in there, okay? No worries, it'll all work itself out. Oopsies. Now we're going to head over to our sewing machine, and using a 1/4-inch seam allowance, we're going to sew that together. Here's what it looks like. Now we want to grab our scissors, and we want to clip that curve all the way across here. We do not want to go through the stitch line, otherwise we'll have a hole in our outer, and we don't want that. So just clip all across there. Right, now we're going to open it this way, and we're going to press that seam allowance open. Turn it back over to the front. We want to give it a good press there as well. Steam. Don't worry if things aren't lining up perfectly on the side seams. We'll straighten that out at the end. All right, now we're going to go back to our sewing machine, and we are going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch on both sides of the seam. So you're going to have 2 top stitch lines, one above the seam and one below the seam, about 1/8 of an inch. Here we go. Now we're just going to repeat what we just did on all the other panels. Okay, here we are. Let's give it another good press. I'm going to move this out of the way so we can see just a little bit better. Now I'm going to place one of my linings down because I just want to double check that everything's lining up perfectly. And it appears to be. It should be good to go. If you need to straighten out your edges, you can certainly do that. Whether that's straightening out your the outer or the lining, you want it all to kind of be the same. Sometimes things get a little wonky, so don't be afraid to trim some things and make them look good. I think we are good to go here. I can always trim some more later if I need to. I'm going to repeat everything that I just said. I'm going to repeat on the other set of these pieces. Okay. If you're doing a slip pocket and you're going to put it on the outer, you need to do that at the beginning. So once you have your panels ready, your color block outer panel ready, then you need to before you do this, you need to put your pocket on, right? Before you put these side seams together, that's what you need to do. So it's the first thing you do when your outer panel is ready, all right? So the instructions do tell you about that. They say if you are adding a slip pocket, you need to skip to page 13, step 1. And once you finish the slip pocket, you'll go back to page 12, step 3. That's if you're putting it on the exterior of your bag, right? All right, now that we are ready with both of our outer panels, we are ready to move on. If you didn't do the color block, this is where you start, right here. So we're going to place our finished panels right sides together. We'll line up the bottoms and the sides, and we're going to stitch down both sides and across the bottom using our half-inch seam allowance. Right now, we are going to trim our seam allowances down a bit. Now let's turn this right side out. Okay, now we've turned it right side up. We need to fold it or whatever to where this one side seam is showing. We're going to take our strap connector. We're going to put it right sides together, basically. We're going to we're going to center it over that side seam and give it a clip. Okay, and we're going to flip it over. We're going to do that with the other side as well, centering it, giving it a clip. You can open up the seam allowance there to take some of the bulk out. And now we're going to base this using about 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. We're going to base this to those side seams. Just try to make sure they're centered. Okay, here we go. We've got it all connected. You can see my color block did not line up perfectly, but you know what? I'm okay with that. Yeah, super cute. Let's set that to the side. Now we're going to work on our slip pocket. So we'll grab our 2 slip pocket pieces. We're going to place them, we're going to place them right sides together. And we are going to sew across the top edge and the bottom edge using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. All right, here we are. Now we're going to reach in and we're going to turn it right side out. All right, let's grab our pressing mat as well. We're going to want to press this. What you want to do is you want to reach in and you want to push those seam allowances out to the edge. Let's start with the bottom one here. Just want to push it out. A little bit of steam. We do the same with the top. I like to go from the bottom. It just is easier for me to do. I don't know why. All right, here we go. Now we're going to take this over to our sewing machine and we're going to top stitch where we just sewed these 2 seam allowances. I'm putting it on the interior, on the lining, so I'm going to grab 1 lining piece, and then, let's put it on here. There we go. And then I need to make a marking. It's on the pattern piece, but you could also use a ruler. It's a 1/2 inch from this boxed corner here. So you just want a little mark on either side here. Oops. Okay, so you want it to be, you want to go right up to that seam allowance, all right? So a 1/2 inch. You're going to take your slip pocket and you're going to line it up with that 1/2 inch, those 1/2 inch marks, all right? And you're going to clip it in place or pin it, whatever works best for you. Now, what you have to do now is decide how many pockets you want. And we need to measure that out. If you want it in the middle, then you're just going to measure it out at about 7 inches and you're going to go straight down the middle. You could do 1 down the middle and 1 like this. However you want. I've done like pencil ones. It's up to you on the however many pockets you want, but you'll need to mark those. I'm just going to do 1 pocket down the middle. I'm just going to, instead of having to actually put a mark on there, I'm just going to use this. And that just puts a little crease there, and I'm easy to follow. So I'm going to go to my sewing machine, and I'm going to sew my slip pocket on. I'm going to start here. I'm going to go down this raw edge. I'm going to stitch a ditch here across that top stitch line, and then back up. I'm going to back stitch at the beginning and the end. Then I'm going to come to the center, and I'm going to put that pocket there. All right, let's do it. Okay, here we are. I went ahead and put a rivet here just to give some more stability here at the top, because that's going to get pulled around a little bit, but I've got my 2 pockets right there, and I'm ready to move on to the next step. If you're putting this on the outer, then you need to go back to page 12, step 3, and finish that outer so you have that, right? Okay. Now it's time to work on our zipper pocket. We're going to grab the other lining piece. Now you could put this lining or this zipper pocket on the outer as well, but I'm doing it on the lining. All right, so we need to place the this lining panel and the zipper pocket piece right side together, matching up the zipper markings, and then we'll pin a few times and then we'll sew around. So I have some markings. Okay, I've got my zipper marking or zipper placement marking on my zipper pocket. I do not have it on my lining itself. The instructions tell you how to do this without transferring from the pattern piece. It's pretty simple. You want to find the center. I like to do a crease. Okay. Get yourself a fabric marker. And you're going to measure down about 2 5/8 inch here. We're just going to put a little marking, 2 5/8. Okay. And from that, you're going to measure 3.5 inches from either side of it. Okay. And it's another. So it makes it 7 inches. And then you need a 1/2 inch line down here and a 1/2 inch line down here. And then you want to connect those. Okay. Just like that. All right. That's where you're going to put that. On the, you're going to do the same thing. If you haven't done it on your zipper pocket, you're going to do the same thing, but it's going to come down about an inch or so, give or take. Inch and a half from the top there. And then you want to match these. So you're just going to match one, Match the other. You want to kind of center it. Okay. Give it a good little look here. Okay, so now that we've done that, this is the wrong side of the pocket lining. Okay, so these are right sides together. The lining and the pocket lining are right sides together. Make sure that's very, very clear. And let me see if I can find my pins here. All right, here are pins, excuse me. I need to just put a couple of pins in here and there just to attach it. There's one, there's two. Now I'm going to head over to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew around this rectangle on that marking. Let's do it. Thanks. All right. Take our pins out. Now let's grab a pair of scissors. I'm going to fold this in half, matching the side seams, and I'm going to cut on that dashed line, that center line. Cut from there to about a 1/2 inch from the corner, and then diagonals into each corner without going through the stitch line. Do not go through the stitch line. All right, there we go. Now let me grab my pressing mat so we can get this pulled through. Okay. So we've got our opening here. Now we're just going to push that through to the wrong side. All of it to the wrong side, just like this. Okay. And if you got close enough to the stitch line, your corners here will be nice and sharp, and they'll be clean, and they'll look wonderful. If you're too far away, you may have to go in and clip a little bit more. It's important that when you make these markings on the fabric that you use a fabric marker of something that will disappear or be easily gotten out. You don't want to use just any old pen or marker like I do all the time. All right, let's turn it over and see what the front actually looks like. And then we can press again. Okay, it looks not too bad. So I did use a fabric marker, and you can see some of that fabric marker has shown through a little bit. It will disappear eventually. And this particular one will disappear eventually with air, or I could put a little bit of water on it and it'll disappear. But for now, I'm not going to worry about it. It's time to grab our zipper. All right. So we're working on our zipper here. Got my wash away wonder tape. Or my double-sided tape, I should say. I don't think it's actually a wash away wonder tape. Okay, and we're just going to put some of this double-sided tape on both of the long edges of our zipper. Now, remember, if you're using zipper tape, you'll want about a 9-inch piece. It's a 7-inch open, but you want to have some leeway on either side. If you do just a plain store-bought, 7-inch zipper, then you're fine. But if you're doing zipper tape, you want to do about 9 inches. Okay, I do like to run on the opposite side, run my iron just quickly over that to get that, because sometimes it's not terribly sticky and it doesn't want to stay. All right, so we did not take the paper off. Notice that. Okay, so keeping the paper on there for the time being, let's push the zipper pull up. And here we go. We're getting ready the goal is to center this over the zipper. I'm going to take just the bottom paper off of my wash away tape, just the bottom, and that's going to allow me to center this on here, okay? Press it down. You could even run an iron over just that piece. Help to set the tape a little bit. All right. Now just unfold this like this. Move your, push your zipper pull down out of the way, and then remove that other paper. And then that just allows you to adjust it more easily with just one tape open. I mean, you could take them both off. Have both sides of the tape exposed, and do it. I did that for years. But then I saw somebody do it this way, and it just made life a little bit easier. Okay. Now I'm going to head over to my sewing machine and I'm going to top stitch around about 1/8 of an inch from the edge of the opening all the way around. Okay, here we go. So you're going to want to trim any threads that need trimming. Double check that everything is as it's supposed to be. Everything good. Make sure the zipper is working. Perfect. Turn it over to the wrong side, and this would be the time where you can trim your zipper if you need to. I'm going to trim it just a little bit. Just keeps it out the seam allowance as we get ready to sew this pocket. All right, now we're doing wrong side up. Wrong side of the lining up, and this is the right side of the zipper lining, and we're just going to fold that zipper lining and match the short and the short, all the edges, I guess. All the raw edges. Those are the words I'm trying to get out. And I'm just going to clip it like that. So we are going to sew from here up, over, and down, but we don't want to sew through this lining at all. So I'm going to start by just lifting up the pocket and pushing the lining out of the way. So I'll sew this side, stop, and then pivot, and then lift up the zipper, push that lining out of the way, sew from here to here, press your foot down, or needle down, pivot, fold the lining out of the way. There we go. And then here. Then we're going to go from here to here and back stitch. That's how you're going to do it. You're going to use, you can use 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. It doesn't really matter. I'm probably going to use 1/2 inch. But yeah, just make sure you back stitch at the beginning and the end. Let's All right, here we are. We've got our pocket. It's all sewn. You can see I did not sew through the lining when I open up my zipper. I've got a nice pocket here. All right, we've got our lining panels ready. Now we're going to take our lining panels. We're going to take both of them. We're going to place them right sides together. Okay, we're going to clip here. Let's clip here. And here. All right, so we're going to stitch down using a 1/2 inch seam allowance down both sides, and then down across the bottom. We're all going to go a few inches. We want like a 3 to 4 inch opening here. That will help us birth our bag. Now here's a little tip. If you want a tighter, less, baggy lining, you're going to want to bring that seam allowance in a little bit. You want to make sure up here that it is a 1/2 inch because it's got to match your main. It's got to be the same. So you have the same allowance at the very top. So you're going to start at a 1/2 inch, and then you're going to gradually come in no more than 3/4 of an inch, give or take. But a lot of people will do 5/8, and that does it. I'll probably do 1/4 of an inch on this one. I'll do start 1/2 inch here, and then go to 1/4 of an inch here, and then do 1/4 of an inch across here. All right. All right, let's trim down our seam allowance. Trimming your seam allowance, it actually helps with the bulk too and prevents your lining from being any baggier. We're going to trim the seam allowance here, but we're not going to trim that opening. So I'm going to do a diagonal cut at that open. Okay? All right. Time to move on. It's time to work on our snap closure. Now you can choose to do this before you do this, put this together like this. But for me, I find it easier because my panels are already lined up. So let's grab our snaps. We've got our male and female and our washers. We're going to measure down, here, about Well, first, we need our scraps, okay? So I'm doubling up this SF101 sticky side down. So the goal, I'm coming right to this, I'm going to come to the other side. Okay, we're going to start with this side, okay? So it needs to cover about 1.5 inches down. So, so I'm going to bring it up some more. I just want as much stability as possible for these snaps, okay? All right, now I'm just going to adhere that. And I'm going to do that to both sides. All right. Do the other side. Now you can use a heavier interfacing if you like, and then you won't have to use 2 pieces. I just moved the pocket out of the way. Okay. Right. So that just gives us a lot more stability here. Okay. There we go. Now we need to find the center. So I do this by folding it in half. You can pin it, you can give it a crease, it's up to you. I'm going to crease it a little bit, and then I'm also going to pin both sides, just so I have. There's one. And here's the other. Now you can see that my, this side is fine, but my interfacing got a little wonky, but that's okay, because here's where it's going to go. It's still going to get the support that it needs. So make sure you have that, centered a little bit better than me, obviously. All right, so now from that center point, I want to measure down 1.5 inches. And I'm just going to place a dot. Okay, I'm going to do that on both sides from that center marking. You want to be precise there, because if you're not precise, then your snap will not want to, it won't line up properly, and you need it to line up properly, okay? So now I'm going to turn it back over. Now that we have the dots placed, we can remove our pins. We're going to take a washer, and we're going to put you see how in the middle of the washer, there is a circle, an open circle. That's where we're going to line up that marking we just made. We're going to hold it down, and then get our marker again. We're going to mark into these, just like that, okay? So you have those other openings as well. Do that to the other side. Pin them that a little bit. Pin that pocket out of the way if you need to. Okay? We're going to take the washer. We're going to line up that center hole. Okay, just like that. Make sure we have our side pieces. All right, we've got those marked. Now, grab your seam ripper. This is the easiest way to do it and the safest way to do it. But you got to be careful. You need to open up holes on these, either the outside markings that we just made. So I'm going to go down with my seam ripper down into it, and then up through the other side, the top of the purple marking there. And then push it all the way through, and I've got a little hole. You do not want a giant hole here, so you have to be very, very careful. An X-Acto knife would work as well. Okay, let's do that to the other side. So now, this is the right side, and we've got our holes there. You probably can't see them very well. Let's start, just take one of your male or your female piece, and you're going to put you can see here, they've got 2 prongs. You're going to put the prongs through those openings that we just made, and push them through those little openings. And so this is what we've got. I don't know if, hopefully you can see it, okay? And now you're going to place your washer over those prongs as well. Now, there are a couple of different ways that you can do this. You can push them outward, which a lot of people do, or you can push them to where they overlap like this. If you push them outward, it is more likely that it will come undone. So you kind of, I think it's better to push them down overlapping like this rather than like this. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So grab something, I'm going to grab the scissors, and I just want to push it down. The other thing you can do is you can add another couple pieces of interfacing or a piece of duct tape here just to give you a little more protection there. But we have one snap all ready to go. Let's do the other snap. So here's the other piece. We're going to take it through those openings that we made. Okay, let's flip it over. All right, so we've got our prongs. Now we're going to place our washer on top of the prongs, pushing, whoopsies, came right out. Oh, good grief. Okay, so now that we've got that, we're going to put our washer on top, and we're going to press those prongs in on top of each other. I'm going to grab my scissors just because it hurts my fingers a little bit and push them down with my scissors. These are my paper scissors, my junky scissors. It should line up perfectly, and it does. You take these pins out of the pocket. Okay, so you can see here, it's lining up just fine. All right, and it feels really stable, so that's great. All right, so we've got our snap closure all together here. We are flowing along nicely. We're almost done. Super exciting. Now it's time to work on our boxed corners. So I'm going to open up my lining, and I'm going to match my side seam with this bottom seam, and I'm going to clip it in place. Just like this. Okay, so you've got that. Do that to the other side. Open up those side seams there. Match those and give it a clip. You're going to do that with, this is the lining. You're going to do that with the outer exterior as well. So turn it wrong side out. Reach in. You've got your side seam here. You've got your bottom seam here, and you're going to match those and match the raw edges and give it a clip. Same with this side. Match the side seam and the bottom seam. We give it a clip. Now we're going to head over to our sewing machine, and we're going to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and we're going to sew across all of those corners. All right, so here we go. Now we want to trim our seam allowance. So make sure you stick to a 1/2 inch seam allowance on the lining, especially if you've got a slip pocket in there, because that slip pocket hits right at that 1/2 inch seam allowance, and you don't want to go into the slip pocket, okay? So now we're going to turn the exterior right side out, okay? And we're going to admire our work a little bit. Our box corners look fantastic. Such a cute bag. And we're going to put it inside the lining. So open up your lining and shove this inside. Okay. All right, now we want to line up the side seams and give it a clip. I open up the lining side seams too, just to reduce a little bit of bulk. Line up the side seam. Now we're going to clip all the way around, matching up that raw edge. As many clips as you think you need is totally fine. There's no such thing as too many clips. It's based on what your needs are, okay? Everybody's different. Make sure that that raw edge is lined up. Okay, now we're going to head to the sewing machine, and we are going to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and we're going to stitch all the way around the top of our bag. Okay, here we are. Now let's trim down our seam allowance a little bit just to get rid of some of that bulk. I would not trim the strap connectors. You just want to go around those. Now, I don't know if you noticed, hopefully you did, that I did back stitch quite a bit at the strap connectors just for extra stability. I just find that's really important to keep it all together. Okay, now we have our opening at the bottom and we are going to birth this bag. So reach into that opening and pull your outer through. You've used fusible fleece, so it's not super stiff. It should be fairly easy to pull through, but don't be afraid of it. Okay. All right. Before we move on and finish it up, you want to push that lining to the inside of your bag. Okay. Push it all the way down. Give it a good shake like a pillowcase. It's going to push it down a little bit for you. And if you did it right, it should be a fairly tight-ish lining. It's okay if it's a little bit baggy. It's just the style of the bag, but you can see when you open it up, it's not too baggy. All right. So let's get our pressing mat here. So I'm going to want to do some pressing to move some of my junk out of the way. Okay. So I want to press this opening here, this seam, because we're going to be going back and top stitching there. So let's just press that, make sure it looks really nice and clean. And that lining is pushed down the way we want it. And if you need to clip it, like it doesn't want to, depending on the fabric you use, it doesn't want to stay in place, clip it. It's fine. Not a big deal. Okay? And just go all the way around, pushing the lining in. I kind of get my hands or my fingers wet and just kind of roll it. I don't really want to see the lining from the outer side, but if it peeks through a little bit, that's not a huge deal. I'm going to pull these a little bit. I want to press on the outside here, right at my strap connectors. This way. Give it a good once over. It looks pretty good. I'm going to head over to my sewing machine now, and I'm going to top stitch around the top of my bag. Okay, here we are. It's super cute. I love it. One of the things I did not remind you to do, and if you were paying attention when I was sewing, you noticed that I almost had a catastrophe. When you're down there and you are in your top stitching, make sure that this D-ring is not tucked under. It is you see how I almost caught that D-ring under my needle, and that would have been not good. So just pay close attention to that. But overall, this bag is super cute. So we have that. Now I want to pull the lining, the bottom of the lining out, because we have to close up that opening. All right. So you can hand stitch this if that's a thing you like to do. I loathe hand stitching. So I'm actually going to pin it or clip it and take it over to my sewing machine, and I'm just going to top stitch across that opening. All right, here we go. I've got that stitch. Now I'm just going to push my lining back in. Push those box corners out. Yes, hopefully you can see. It looks really nice. I'm glad I did the 3/4 inch on the lining there. And here's the bag. Now we're almost done, like super, super close. We need to do our strap connector. And so let's grab our webbing, and I will link in the description box below how to do this with fabric. We're going to start with our adjustable buckle. We're going to bring it up one side and down the other, just like this. Okay, pull it out a little bit. You're going to turn it 3/8 of an inch this way and then another inch this way. And then you are going to either stitch across here or you can put rivets across there. That's up to you. I'm going to do rivets, but you're going to stitch across that fold. All right? But I'm going to do rivets. I'll be right back. Okay, so here we go. Got that. Now what I want to do is I want to bring one of my swivel clips through the other end. And now I'm going to bring it up and over. Okay, so it looks like this. All right, and this is all in the video as well that I'm going, the other video that I'm going to be linking as well. All right, exactly how to do this. I'm doing the quick version. And then I'm going to bring this raw edge through the opening of my other swivel clip, just like this, okay? Because you want your swivel clip to go in the same direction. So you're going to go 3/8 inch down and then another inch. Just make sure it's all in there. Give it a clip. Then you're going to stitch across here, okay? You could do 2 stitch lines if you like, just to be safe. I'm going to do rivets like I did here. Okay, here we are. Our strap is ready. We will attach it to our bag. And there's no. And we've got our medley. Our medley bag is all ready to go. This is super cute. Yeah. I love it. Check it out.